Hi, this is Nahid, and I want to welcome you to the Accelerated Growth Program. So what do I mean by accelerated growth? Essentially, I mean getting your life to where you want it to be faster. Most people approach this by setting goals and coming up with action plans, but this usually only works in areas where you don't need to grow. When it comes to changing your life, what will make the most difference is to look at the areas where goals and action plans don't work. Usually what you'll find is there's a pattern, and that pattern is what's slowing you down. So accelerated growth is the process of quickly identifying the source of how you get in your own way and consciously making changes that allow you to break free from limiting thinking and behavior patterns. This is usually the source of your frustration. When it comes to changing your life, what will make the most difference is to look at the areas where goals and action plans don't work, where you don't feel a lot of control, or where you keep getting stuck or banging your head against the wall. So what we do in the Accelerated Growth Program is we look at where in your life you get the most frustrated. And that's what we're going to focus on changing. You'll find that the clues to how to make those changes lie exactly in those moments when you feel the most frustrated. So what we start with is what I call a trigger log. You're going to actually log moments when you feel a surge of frustration or some other negative emotion like anger, anxiety, hurt, or even exhaustion. I have an example of a trigger log here. You'll notice it has a lot of columns, but I'm going to go through them one by one. So what I want you to do is go through your day. Some people keep their trigger log on a piece of paper or in a notebook with them at all times so they can log as they go, and some people keep it on their computer in a spreadsheet. Either way, we have a template for you that we'll send you, and what you want to do is notice throughout your day when you feel a reaction. A reaction is a surge of emotion. And what we're really looking for are negative reactions, reactions where you feel a surge of frustration, a surge of anxiety, a surge of anger. What I want you to do every time you have that is make a note of it. Note the date, note what the situation is, note what specific emotion is coming up in your reaction and how strong it is, and what your thoughts are. What are those immediate thoughts that go along with it? Then put how you handled it, what you most needed in that moment, and there's an extra column here for any learning or insights that you get as you're logging this. You actually only need 10 entries to start seeing patterns. That's why this is so powerful. Let me go over this in a little bit more detail with some triggers that I noticed in myself when I started this program. So I felt a surge of anxiety and frustration in the middle of the day once when I was starting to notice the time go by and I hadn't gotten any exercise and I hadn't made progress on other things that had mattered to me. So I started getting anxious or frustrated. The strength was about a 5. And when I listened to the words in my head, what I heard is, well, I haven't done this yet. I haven't done that yet. I'm running out of time. And I also noticed some negative self-talk. I'm so slow. I'm so lazy. So I had a way I handled it. Being a coach, I knew that I had to counteract that negative talk with self-reassuring talk. So I did that. But I also thought about what is it that I most needed in the moment. And this is important because typically when you have an emotional reaction, it's because you feel threatened. It's because something that you need in the world to survive seems to be threatened, seems to be not there anymore, seems to be getting taken away from you. And that sounds a little abstract, but as we go through the program, I'm going to be explaining it to you more. In this case, the fact that I was noticing how unproductive I was ate into my confidence. I started feeling bad about myself. I started judging myself and feeling like I wasn't able to do anything. And although that doesn't seem like it's directly related to survival, it actually did feel directly related to my survival because I started feeling like a loser. And if you feel like a loser, you don't feel like you're capable of doing the things that you need to do in the world to get to where you want to be. If you'll notice the other entries in my trigger log, they're similar. One was that I was thinking about an upcoming presentation I needed to do, and I was feeling some anxiety about it. I had all sorts of stories in my head about what if it doesn't go well and how that would be embarrassing and maybe the customer would be upset and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I still handled it with self-reassuring talk. But again, when I asked myself, what is it that I needed in the moment? It came down to confidence, capability, feeling calm. These are the things that I needed to feel good about myself, to have a sense of well-being. This is where I wanted to get back to. A third entry in my log started helping me notice a pattern. Wow, look at everything is about self-confidence here. And it seems like I keep noticing when I'm not doing things to my own standards, and I start feeling really bad about it, and I start going into a pattern of negative self-talk. Then I reassure myself, and that pulls me out of it. But these are the moments that I have in my life that cause me the most frustration. It's when I get anxious. When you get 10 logs in your trigger log, you're going to start noticing patterns too. And that's what you use this last column for, is to kind of write notes to yourself about the patterns that you're noticing. So what we have for you next is a blank trigger log. This is what it looks like. You can bring it along with you as in your purse or your backpack or a notebook that you carry around so you can log things as you go. Or you can sit down each night and just reflect back on the day and say, where was I triggered today? You'll find that within easily just a couple of days, you'll be able to come up with several examples, and you'll probably start noticing patterns right away. In the next class, what we'll do is we'll talk to you about what to do about those patterns, and we'll give you some background on why this works and why it's so powerful for you. But for now, just enjoy the process of getting insights and noticing these things that normally we wouldn't notice. We'll talk again soon.